So here is the idea to make a product packaging as modularity food packaging, where we have these perforated portions that are divided into certain, let's say, portion sizes or just general cups or whatever. It can work with wet or dry. And if it's wet, it would basically be like an assortment of, let's say, box shapes or some kind of shape that has the connection to the perforation, which connects the additional shape. Anyway, the point of this is, so you can buy something that's sort of in bulk, and it's meant to be used in segments, and in this way, it stays fresh. And so that's the whole point. So if you buy almond milk and other kinds of milk, you could sustain the freshness state by having these smaller portions available. Now, certain things already have small versions, which is obvious, but the price goes up because of their design and because of the convenience of having the smaller portion. Whereas this is more like they already know that you're going to have this much, so the scale is included in the price. So hopefully you would pay a slightly lower price because you're buying something in a larger quantity right off the bat. And so the whole point of this is, let's say you buy a bag of chips and the bag is 32 ounces, right? So you would want your chips to stay fresh. And if you're going to have, multiple sessions, it's very easy to do that. You just grab multiple perforations. And so in this way, you don't have that nagging thing where you just wanted to grab a few chips or a few of something. Maybe it's nuts or whatever. Maybe it's oatmeal. Maybe it's grits. All these kinds of things have the same issue of where you're having just a little bit and then it kind of gets lost in the cupboard. And so that's very wasteful. And so certain types of this food would be better suited to this because they'll stay fresh for a very long period, so long as the seal isn't broken. So this can also work with certain kinds of meats and certain, just anything you can think of. But what I was thinking of in particular was cereal and almond milk. And because it's a constant problem for me where I want cereal or almond milk, but I have to spend however much to get the cereal that I like, and then I have to spend this much on almond milk, and I just use it for the cereal, and it just can't sustain long enough because I don't really eat cereal that often. It's more like a random thing. So that's where this whole idea came, that if you could just divide that up so that this part I would have 1 week, and this part I would have another week, and this part I would have another week, and it's pre-divided, but I'm also not paying a penalty or having to look in crazy places because I just want to get a small portion. Now, you could probably already do similar things, using your own Tupperware or your own Rubbermaid or your own Ziploc. However, that would involve, breaking the freshness seal, and changing the environment of the food. So I would think that the best way to do this is at the source and have suppliers of chips, have suppliers of flour, have suppliers of all of these types of dried or wet goods that are applicable to this concept to be able to be stored in this modular fashion so that we only grab just what we need and everything else stays fresh as best as it can concerning its shelf life. And so that in that way, we never have the problem of, we got to throw out a box of something because we had just a quarter of it or whatever. So that's the idea. It's perforated portions for, let's say, grocers and suppliers of these kinds of goods, so that they're easily accessible and more affordable. And you're also wasting less packaging because you don't have to design the carton so that it's going to be like its own self-contained unit, and then that's going to be that, and the whole thing is like going to be shipped in its own self-contained process. It's pretty ridiculous. So instead, you have all of these things. They're not quite as modular as this, but they're less packaging, and it's a more sophisticated design, and it works better with the scale concept. So there you go. There's the idea.